Recently, I was teaching a friend to crab, and that's something that comes from out of my history of growing up. My parents taught me. So today, I'll be sharing a little bit from my documentary. I've got the first two chapters, rough drafts of the book completed, and I just want to share a little bit of that with you all. And I want you all to know that this is nowhere near completed, but every day I work on it, and I'll be working on it. So if you continue to follow along, you will get the best that I have to give. So today I start out by just trying to jot down a few of my gifts, talents, and abilities. One of my goals is to produce a movie and write a book so that the generations that come after I've passed on will be able to benefit from some of my efforts and accomplishments. I realized early that not everybody sees life the same. While some people tend to sail through life effortlessly, others seem to get stuck. So I just want to share just a small tidbit of my life so that my onlookers, watchers, and learners can catch a clue and then perhaps move on towards even bigger and better accomplishments than what I've already achieved. Recently, I've been enjoying the experience of sharing some of my knowledge of crabbing with a friend. So I'll start there. As y'all probably already are aware of the fact that we all have many gifts and abilities. Well, for me, crabbing was something that I learned a long time ago via my family. Mind you, it wasn't one of my favorite things to do back then, during that particular time in my life, for obvious reasons, like bug bites, the fishy smell that I hated, and slimy crawly things. When I look back on it, it still gives me the eerie feeling. But as life would have us to grow and learn, we come to simply accept things that we can't change. So I learned that certain things simply come with the territory. For example, you can't have nice warm summer days like this without having a few pesky bug bites, etc. Anyways, I learned quite a bit about life having grown up around the water. Seen a few things that taught me that the water is to be respected and properly cared for. Our bodies are over 70% water, so therefore, I feel it's fairly safe to say that water is a big part of who we are. Water has memory, and whenever I go near it, it seems to give me a calming type of feeling. I really do wish that more people would take advantage of its therapeutic effects instead of being so quick to pop a pill. However, that's a whole another story for another day. So anyways, I could probably share at least 5 or 6 different stories with y'all about how I personally learned to respect the water. But for the sake of time, I'll just share one of my favorites for right now. However, before I go into it, I'd just like to ask you all to get comfortable. Go grab yourself a snack and some water, because this is gonna have you sitting on the edge of your seats, just like I'm doing here now. I also want y'all to know that while I approach the water with comfort and ease, about the closest that my parents ever got to it was to do some fishing here and there. Like those old rocks there, they would fish off of a long jetty of rocks, somewhat just like that. So it was my older brother that has since passed on that claimed the fame for all the siblings to be able to swim. He taught us, so he would say. I was so young at the time, I can't really recall when the exact moment was that it clicked for me in my brain that I actually knew how to swim. Because we were all so used to playing around in the water, starting with the 3 feet, and then we moved on up to the 5 feet, so on and so forth. At any rate, since he was the older brother, and his mind told him that he was the teacher of that particular sport, I'll give him that. God rest his soul. So, to make a long story short, it was a very nice day that I happened to be at the swimming pool this one particular day that I had decided I was just gonna go for it up on the high diving board. I wish y'all could see these crawling things crawling around here right now. I had watched other people do it, and I had been studying it and doing my research on it for quite a while. I was determined that I had the heart and the courage, and that I wasn't about to let no diving board or anything else get in the way of me enjoying myself and having a good time. So I took a few deep breaths and began to walk towards my fate. By the time I had actually climbed up on the diving board, I was beginning to have second thoughts. But I pushed on through. I don't remember who was ahead of me nor who was behind. It was just me and the diving board at that moment. And I already had it set inside my mind exactly what it was that I was going to be doing, which, by the way, was a backwards flip. I can still remember the entire event almost as clearly as though it was yesterday. This was the high dive, mind you, and there I stood with my chest out as I braced myself and began to run slowly down the board. As I got to the end, I gave it a fairly firm jump up, and the next thing I knew, I was out there in the air sailing, about to hit the water. Unfortunately for me, my flip didn't quite turn out as graceful as I had hoped, because I felt a big old flop on the back of my back, which burned like all get out. I'd actually did what I set out to do, and nobody ended up having to call 911 or nothing. So I was pretty pleased with myself for actually going through with it. And after that day, I had no trouble or fear with diving off the high board again. So the moral of that story was, I faced my fear. In retrospect, there was a lot of things that I could have done differently in order to have had a more smoother outcome. But I must have realized at the time that, basically speaking, I was somehow looking into the future. I could either stay back, analyzing and studying the situation forever and a day, or I could make the decision to move forward and get it over with. I made that decision, and as a result, I feel that I am a more confident person today as a result of it. Although I was probably only 12 or 13 years old at the time, I believed in myself. And that one thought alone is what had given me the strength to go through with it. Looking back, I wouldn't advise anyone under the age of 18 to do as I did, because things could have turned out a whole lot differently. However, I was the middle child in my family, and what that basically taught me was that there would be a whole lot of things that I'd have to do for myself in this life. Luckily for me, I had siblings that were older that had done a few things, so they pretty much had paved the way for me. However, I'd never actually seen them doing a backwards flip off the high dive. So far as I know, I was the first one in my family to even attempt it. There were many other fond memories that me and my family and friends had shared at the beach and swimming pool, but this was one of my favorite stories that I felt compelled to share because in my mind it helped to make me who I am today. I walked away from the swimming pool that day feeling like I had taken a giant leap into teen life / adulthood. Honestly, I knew I wasn't an adult officially, but that giant, hard-ass, horrific splash of water on my back as I came pounding down upon the water made me feel as though I had taken a bona fide whipping from Mother Nature. 100 times worse than anything, look at that, than anything my natural born mother could have ever dished out. Good googly moogly, sheesh. It almost hurt now just thinking back on it. So a few of my afterthoughts on that whole experience was, there will be times in life when things happen where you will simply have to forget all of your fears and just go for it. Go after that thing, that dream, that goal, that male or female, or whatever it is that you want. Go after it with all your might, vigor, and determination. Guess what? You just may get it. Thank you.